Hello and welcome to our webinar. My name is David McBee and I will be talking to you today about how to leverage data to create a custom targeted audience for your small or medium business. This is all about what I like to call targeted advertising. I'll jump right into it because we have a lot to cover. Now, if I were there with you in person, I would ask you, hey, have you ever been targeted by a relevant ad? And probably you would raise your hand. Everyone in the room would raise their hand because by now we have all seen an ad that we kind of said, hey, that ad is really targeted at me based on something that I just did, some website that I just visited, maybe some behavior of mine that was relevant to the real world, like a location I went to, or maybe you thought maybe it's demographically targeted towards you because, it's makeup and you're a woman. I don't know, but every one of us has been targeted by a relevant ad at this point. Now, this is great for us as consumers, but for you as a business owner, it's even better. What it means is that you can leverage data to create a customized audience so that you can waste less of your advertising. Now, traditional media is awesome. Radio, TV, billboard, they all still have this wonderful ability to reach a massive audience. But we all know that, the old saying, half of our advertising dollars are wasted. We just don't know which half, right? Well, targeted advertising aims to eliminate a lot of that waste by only showing the ads to a relevant audience. I'm going to show you how that works today, starting with where the data comes from and how we leverage the data. Then I'm going to talk to you about the different tactics that we use to reach consumers. I'm going to show you what those ads look like in the real world. They're display ads. They're display ads on your computer, on your laptop. They're video ads before a video that you might want to watch on the internet, or when you're watching over the top or connected television. Some of those commercials are leveraging data to be targeted to you as a user. So that is the gist of what we'll be talking about today, and I'm going to dive in with an example. Now, here is a Google search page. Now, we all start most of our online research at the Google search page. We'll type in a couple of keywords like this one, finished basement ideas, and we already know a little something about this person. Clearly, they are looking to finish their basement. We can surmise that they're probably going to need drywall, electricians, new furniture, maybe some plumbing. There's a lot of things that we can guess they're going to need just based on those three little words. Now, here's the problem. Only Google knows that they searched those three words. Google doesn't share that data. They don't give it away. They don't sell it. They keep it for themselves so that they can utilize that data themselves. But in the grand scheme of things, that's okay, because what happens is we go to Google, we click on the first result, and then we land on a page like this. And a page like this, and I'm not speaking to This Old House specifically, but websites like this that are informational and educational, entertainment based, they like to monetize the visitors that come to their website by selling that data to third parties. So in this example, I've just visited this website, and you can see the words "finish your basement" appear on this page several times. It's in the headline. The word bonus room is there. Up there in the top in the URL, you can see the keywords finish your basement. There's a search box right there at the top in the middle. So if a person types the word basement remodeling, that's data that they can gather and sell as well. Up here in the title tag in the top left-hand corner, you can see it says read this before you finish your basement. So just by visiting this website, I've told This Old House, hey, I'm a guy who's looking to finish my basement. And they can turn around and sell that user information so that someone can later on target me. I'll give you a couple of other examples. I go back to Google, click on the second result. I go to HGTV's website where it says basement finishing, finish a basement. In the URL, finishing ideas and options, basement finishing ideas. Basement finishing ideas in the title tag. Here's a link over here on the right. It says remodeling inspiration. If a person clicks on that, we know they clicked on it and we know they're interested in remodeling. One more page, finished basement ideas. Top there, finished basement ideas, finished basement ideas. There's even a search box here so that if a person types in something like man cave ideas, Now we know this is a person who's looking to build a man cave, and all that could mean. Maybe we need a pool table down there. Maybe we need some neon signage. I don't know, things that go in a man cave, a dartboard, ping pong table, that kind of thing, big screen TV. So all of this data has been gathered and tells us that this user is a perfect client for several industries. Now that's the online behavioral data that we can grab, okay? It's keyword searches, it's keywords on the websites. Simple as that. But what about in real life? When we go shopping in real life, are we leaving any kind of digital breadcrumbs? Are we letting anyone know through our online or through our real life behavior that we're interested in remodeling our basement? Well, very possibly. Because if you take a smartphone with you anywhere, that smartphone is probably tracking your location data. Okay, apps on your phone, almost every app utilizes location data, and most of us leave 10, 20, 30 apps open at any given time on our phones, and that means that your phone is probably tracking your location, and they can turn around and monetize that data as well. So on this particular day, I actually went to this store. I went to Nebraska Furniture Mart, and I had the Google Maps app open on my phone during that time. I later on went to Google Maps timeline, and I could see right here that I visited Nebraska Furniture Mart on this particular date. Now, Google is 100% transparent about this tracking. You can turn this off if you want, but other apps are also tracking like this. They just aren't as clear about it. And, it's in those tiny little terms and conditions that we all just hit agree to. So generally speaking, what this means is that we can track people's locations and we can use that location data to target them for your advertising. The third kind of data that we leverage is this offline demographic data. So for example, if you wanted to target a young couple or a dog owner, we probably have data on this couple right here that indicates that they are of a certain age, that they own a pet, that they either rent or that they own a home or that they own a truck or that they have a swimming pool or that they vacation a lot. There are something like 500 different demographic categories and offline purchase data that we can use to target them as well. We look at offline purchases. So the example I like to share here is that I've owned my dog. Owned doesn't sound right. I've had my dog for about 9 years. My online behavioral data does not indicate that I'm a dog owner. I'm not like searching for how to potty train her or teach her new tricks, right? My location data really doesn't indicate that I'm a dog owner because I don't buy her food at a pet store specifically, and I don't take her to the dog park, and I really only take her to the vet once a year. But my offline purchase data does show the continually shopping of dog food and pet treats, right? So with that data, now you can say, hey, this guy owns a dog, and you could target him based on that information, and target me, I should say. And then, of course, there's some abundance of publicly available data out there that we have access to just through, tax records and county recorder and deeds and stuff like that. So as I wrap up this section, let's just recap where all this data comes from. We've got the online behavioral data. That's the keywords that people search and the websites they visit. The location data that comes from their GPS on their smartphone. Offline purchase data, demographic data, and then publicly available data. And we can use all of this data to create these really customized and relevant audiences. So let's see what that looks like. I'm going to dive into the targeting capabilities. Now, I'm going to go through several different tactics here. And as I do, your inclination will be to say, oh, I like that tactic. I don't like that tactic. Oh, I like that tactic. And you'll want to pick and choose which tactics you think make sense for your business. And while that's okay to do, we highly recommend that you don't do that up front. We like to build every single campaign with a blend of different tactics so that we can then look at a campaign and see which tactics worked better than the others. Now, I'm getting a little ahead of myself here because I haven't shown you the tactics yet, but I wanted to give you that kind of warning up front as we're going through the tactics. This isn't something you have to pick and choose from. We can leverage all of these tactics on every single campaign, and then we can look at the results to see which ones are ideal for your business. Now, the first tactic is a classic, site retargeting. You've probably had this happen where you went to a website and then you left and you started seeing ads for the products and services of that website. If you've ever shopped on Amazon or bought shoes online or glasses or luggage, any of those things, then you've probably been retargeted. But it's not limited to those. I mean, a dentist can use site retargeting, a plastic surgeon, an attorney, they can all use site retargeting to show ads to people who have come to their website. And the reason this tactic is so important is because of this stat right here. 97%, and I've seen it as high as 98% of first-time visitors to your website will leave without taking any action. And now that's kind of tragic because you got them to your website through your social media, through your word of mouth, through your television commercial, through your billboard. We don't know, but we're getting traffic to your website, and then 97 out of 100 of them are leaving. That's terrible, right? We need to get them back. And so with site retargeting in place, you can show them your ads and influence them to come back. If you think about a real world scenario where maybe you're shopping for a sofa, you might visit 2 or 3 or 4 websites and see several sofas that you like, and then you forget about it for a little while. Well, the advertiser who shows you the ads and reminds you about that sofa, they have a much greater chance of getting your business than those who just let you leave. The next tactic is search retargeting. This goes back to the keyword behavioral data that I shared with you earlier. So in this example, I'm on Fresh Home and I typed in the word living room furniture ideas. If you're a furniture store owner, you definitely want to target me because I just typed in some keywords of something that you sell. And really, guys, there's no better indicator of what a person is interested in than the keywords that they type into search boxes. It is absolutely a phenomenal way of targeting your potential prospects. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, I don't really type into those search boxes much, David. I go to Google, but they just take me to the websites. And that's okay too because of keyword contextual targeting. So even if you don't type a keyword search into this website, the fact that you visited this page and it says furniture on it 7 times, that is enough of an indicator that says we want to target this person. So just the websites you visit can be leveraged to target you. Now, the next tactic is geofencing, and geofencing really looks at that location data that I mentioned. In this screen example that I'm sharing with you right now, this is a search for every furniture store in Atlanta. And the reason I did that is because I'm imagining that I own a furniture store, I'm in Atlanta, and where are my customers? Where would I put a magic billboard if I could? Well, the answer to that is in all of my competitors' stores, right? They're not going to let me put up a billboard, but what I can do is I can draw a geofence around my competitor's location. Then when a user or a person, a prospect, if you will, a customer, enters that location and they have that smartphone in their pocket or their purse and it's got the location data on it, now I can see that person visited there and I can make them a part of my target audience. So they go to Design Within Reach, and then within a day or less sometimes of them making that action, I can start showing them ads for my furniture store. Now, there's a couple things I want to point out here. First of all, not everybody keeps their location data on, but most people do. So while we can't see everyone that enters those geofences, we can see certainly enough of them to target and build you a fantastic customized audience. The second thing I want to point out on this page is that shape around the location is not a radius. It's not a square. It's not some predefined grid that's been laid down on the city and capturing devices. It is a customized, one-of-a-kind shape based on the shape of that building. And that is how we draw those fences. They are the exact shape of the building so that there's less waste, so that we only reach the people who are entering those buildings. So person enters the building, they become a part of our audience, and we start showing them ads. Fantastic use of location data. But geofencing isn't limited to buildings or indoor locations or even a particular structure. In this example, I have decided that I want to target an art fair. Right? Art fair would be great for a furniture store. These are people who probably own homes, or at least their apartment is nice enough that they want some nice art in it. They might want some lovely furniture, right? So I draw a geofence around the street that this art fair is on, and I capture the audience only during the art fair. So maybe it's Saturday and Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. I just draw the fence. and capture the devices that I see enter that location during those 2 days. So you can target events like this. You can target a baseball game. You can target a concert. You could target a wine festival. You could target, just really any event. We can draw a geofence around it and capture the devices that are in that event. Of all the tactics that I'm going to share with you, this is the one specifically that you don't want to do as a standalone campaign. You're going to want to blend this, make this an add-on to a normal monthly campaign as well. Now, the next kind of geofencing is addressable geofencing. And I want you to think of this like the new and improved version of direct mail. Because what we do here is we upload a list of addresses. Now, this might be your own customer list. It might be a list that you've purchased of people who have owned their car for 6 years or something like that, whatever it might be. And we upload this list into a system that then draws a geofence specifically around the plat line of the home. And so then when we see smartphones enter these homes, we target them. Let's take another look at that. Okay, so here is a street where we only have 3 geofenced homes, right? Why would that be? Well, in this example, we found a list of dog owners, right? So let's say you're a veterinarian or a kennel or a dog food distributor or a pet store, right? And you only want to reach people who own dogs. Well, on this street, these 3 homes own dogs. And there would be no point in targeting the whole neighborhood because then you would be wasting impressions. Well, we only fence the homes that match what we're trying to target. We look for the smartphones in those homes and we start delivering ads on those smartphones. But we are not limited to those smartphones because of this really cool technology called cross-device matching, which I could go on for 10 minutes explaining it. But the gist of it is that we know that if a smartphone is in that house and a laptop is in that house, they're probably the same user, or at least the same household of users, right? So we can show ads on the smartphone, the laptop, the tablet, and get this, we can even target people on their connected TVs. That's right. Imagine a world where you own a kennel and you only want to show your TV commercials to dog owners. That is the scenario in which I am painting and which we can do. So that is really, really cool. Now let's switch over to demographic targeting. This isn't terribly complicated. Basically, we can target people based on their gender, age, income, whether or not they own a home, whether or not they're a renter, whether or not they have children. There's probably something like 500 different demographic categories. I could go on and on. I haven't memorized them all, but if you want to paint me a picture of what your customer looks like, there's a very good chance that we can target their demographic. And we use a lot of online purchase behavior for that targeting. So we look at their spending habits. We look at the things that they are buying and the way they are spending their money, and that helps us identify the different demographics. Okay. So that's the data. That is the tactics. Now let's take a look at the ads themselves. This isn't terribly complicated. It's a display ad, right? On a website. So in this example, hey, I'm researching which movie I want to go to, and then I see the furniture store ads. Now, I do want to point out that this furniture store ad isn't buying comingsoon.net specifically. They're buying me as a user because of all this behavior that I've exhibited. So it doesn't matter what websites I go to. If those websites sell their advertising on the open exchange, this is someone that we can target, and this is the way we can get to them. So it could be ESPN, right? So I'm checking out what's going on with baseball, and all of a sudden I start seeing the ads for this furniture because I was just building a man cave. I was just visiting Nebraska Furniture Mart. Or maybe you're just targeting me because I'm in a certain demographic. Maybe I'm a certain homeowner of a certain income side. We also target people on apps. So here's the weather app. And you guys know that most of these free apps are ad supported. So that gives us a lot of opportunities to reach people, even on something like this silly game. Now, I use the word silly. Maybe this is a game you play. I don't know. But you might not say, hey, I want to go advertise on this game. But again, keep in mind, this person just proved through their online or offline behavior that they are shopping for furniture, and that's why we're showing them the ad. Here is an app on CNN. We deliver a lot of ads in apps, and that is simply because 7 out of 10 hours that we spend on the web are on mobile devices. So There's a lot of opportunities to reach people on these smartphones. Here's another game with an ad. Here is a website where you might visit to watch a video. So maybe you've been to the Food Network website to watch a recipe, right? Like how to make a carrot cake or whatever it might be. Well, unless you are subscribing to the Food Network website, which you're probably not, it's free to you to watch this video. And it's free because of a 10, 15, or 30-second ad that's going to appear right before the video. Well, as a business owner, you can place your ads right there in that space. So if you have a video, we can place them in these hundreds of locations where people are watching videos. And this is a fantastic way of reaching your customers because, again, it's targeted based on their behavior, their location, or their demographic. It's not targeted because we chose the Food Network website. It's targeted because of something they did before they got to the Food Network website. And it allows you a little bit of sight, sound, motion, and emotion. So it's a bit more robust than a display ad. And then, of course, with the huge adoption of connected TV. We're looking at about 85% of households now have some kind of connected or over-the-top television. And so many of those channel apps are ad supported now. Of course, Netflix isn't, Disney Plus isn't, but so many of these, CBS All Access, for example, or CBS News. I'm looking at these on the screen, but there's hundreds of them that have commercials because, again, like the web, the content is free if you're willing to sit through an ad. Well, you as a business owner can now put your ads on television and target them in a way that standard broadcast and cable TV could never do, which those are still great mediums, but this one is really super targeted. And so you could put your ad for your furniture store right there on the big screen in their living room. Simply put, the targeted ads reach people who have visited your website and then left. That's through site retargeting. People who have searched for your products and services, those keyword search targeting, right? People who have read content related to what you sell, that's that keyword contextual tactic I mentioned. People who have visited real world locations, clearly that's geofencing. People who fit a specific demographic targeting, and then people who have made relevant offline purchases. Okay, so these are the kinds of people that we can target and create this very, very customized audience for you. And here is how we reach them: on their phones, on their desktop and laptop computers, on websites and apps, as well as connected TV and other streaming devices like a PlayStation or an Xbox. All right, so that's most of the story, but there are a couple of things that always come up in these seminars that I have decided to just talk about right up front. And the first one is search engine marketing. Now, search engine marketing is basically the idea of getting on the first page of Google, right? Google AdWords, SEO. Hopefully you are doing that for your business and you rank well on Google. That's a really important thing. And I've heard business owners say to me, I don't need any of this targeted advertising because I'm already on the first page of Google. And so I thought about that. And by the way, I come from an SEO and paid search background, so I totally and completely agree with that tactic. But it got me thinking, how much time do we spend on Google? Well, the average user only spends about 9 minutes a day searching Google. Okay, so if your business is on the first page of Google, then applause to you. That is fantastic. But the problem is that it's only for 9 minutes a day. And most of us spend quite a bit more than 9 minutes a day on the internet as a whole. Google is kind of like the tip of the iceberg. We type in a search and then we end up underwater where there's the massive amounts of content. And if we as business owners are not taking advantage of all that time that people are on the internet, we're totally missing out. In fact, take a look at this graph. It talks about how much time people spend watching television, listening to the radio, reading print. And you can see that digital is now the king of, taking our time up, right? 6 hours a day on digital with over 3 hours, almost 4 hours on mobile, okay? So as a business owner, I want to encourage you, don't neglect this opportunity. Think about what that means. People are spending 6 hours a day looking at screens And if you're not doing some kind of targeted advertising, there's a very good chance you're missing out on all that opportunity to show them your ads. In fact, check this out. People interact with their phones 13 times an hour. Now, you and I have been chatting. Well, I've been chatting. You've been listening for like 30 minutes now, which means you've probably checked your phone 5 or 6 times already. Okay, maybe not. Maybe you're totally paying attention. Good for you. But you're probably dying to check your phone because we're addicted. We love our phones. In fact, we touch our phones, get this, over 2,000 times a day. This is how often we interact with this device. And I want to ask you, as a business owner, don't you want your ads to appear on a device people are touching 2,600 times a day? We're so addicted to our phones that almost half of us say that our phone is something that we couldn't even live without. Now, I know, like when I leave the house without my wallet, I'm like, I'm not going to spend money on anything and not going to get pulled over. But if I don't have my phone, I turn around and I go back for it, right? We cannot live without our phones. Younger generations than mine, I'm a Gen Xer, by the way. Younger generations are even more addicted. I found this interesting. I don't know if this is blown out of proportion or not, but I found this quote that says that when given the choice between their technology and their sense of smell, about half of millennials said they would give up their sense of smell. Now, if you're a millennial, don't be offended. I didn't make this up, I promise. And I've been in rooms where I've had millennials look up from their phones, read the stat and go, yep, sounds about right. But I've also had rooms where millennials went, oh, I don't know about that. Stop picking on us millennials. And to you, I say, you're right. We pick on you quite a bit. The next stat says that 83% of us consider the location services crucial to the smartphone experience, and thus the reason that we keep our location set on almost all the time. And then we're watching a lot of connected TV on our smartphones as well. So whether or not you reach a person on the big screen or on their phone or their laptop, if you're advertising through connected TV or over-the-top television, you're still getting that message in front of them. And by the way, the size of the message is irrelevant because of proximity, and that's what this picture is trying to show you. Based on proximity, even a phone can be as big as the big screen in your living room. In fact, here's a great stat. 78% of digital video viewers use their smartphone to watch digitally streamed content. All right, let's shift gears again. And again, this is one of those things that came up after I started sharing this story with people. They said, well, how do you measure the success of this, right? Like, how do we know it worked? Can we prove ROI? And I'm about to talk out of both sides of my face. On one side of my face, I'm going to say, no, you can't, not really. It's branding. It's a lot like traditional media. And then on the other side of my face, I'm going to show you some really cool things that the technology can do. So upfront warning, this is how this is going to go. Let's start with comparing traditional media to digital media. So here's a billboard on the side of the road. If maybe you have a billboard of your own, maybe this is one that you would drive by. What action are you going to take when you see this billboard? And it's a trick question, right? Most of us are just going to keep driving. Most of us may not even notice it. Some of us are on our phones while we're driving by it. We shouldn't be, but we are. But the reality is there's no way of tracking the success of this billboard. Because even if a person goes to the Ford Lincoln dealer of Ocala, they're not going to say, I'm here because of that fantastic billboard I drive by every day. The business owner just has to use a little faith that the billboard is getting this message out, her message out, getting the brand out there, whatever it might be. Now, that's true of most television commercials as well. You can't click on a TV ad, so nobody knows what the click-through rate is. And most people, when they enter your store or buy your product, they don't say, I'm doing it because of the TV commercial that I saw. That's also true of display, so a newspaper or a magazine ad. I know I personally was motivated to buy a new pair of sneakers that I saw in Men's Health and Fitness. And I certainly did not tell the cashier or anyone at the company that the ad had an impact on my decision to buy. So they just have to assume when they run an ad in a magazine that ad is going to have a positive impact on sales, or maybe they track sales, right? In fact, that's where I'm going with this. Really the best way to track any advertising is to see if you have an overall increase in web traffic and store traffic. If you get more people searching for your business by name, that's usually an indicator that they've seen your ads and they're familiar with your brand. Are you getting more phone calls? Or if you have a form on your website, are more people filling that out? And generally speaking, are you getting more customers, which is why you advertise in the first place. So whether it's traditional media, radio, TV, billboard, outdoor, print, or if it's display ads on the internet, all of these things are things that I want you to track to see if you're seeing a success. Now, with the digital, there are some things that we can track that traditional media can't. Specifically, you're going to look at click-throughs, right? And that's a standard one. People are like, well, how many clicks did I get? How many people did you drive to my website? Well, here's kind of the news when it comes to display advertising. The average click-through rate on a display ad is 0.1%. Now, if you do the math, that means that 1 out of 1,000 people who see your ads will click on it. That's abysmal. That's terrible. But it doesn't mean that 999 people that didn't click weren't also influenced by the ad. Same for your billboard, same for your TV commercial. I didn't click it, but I saw it. And we don't click on most ads because we're checking the weather, we're checking the sports score, we're watching a streaming television show. Most people don't click on these ads. It's very different than a Google search because Google's whole job is to make you click. Display's job is to interrupt you while you're doing other things and make you aware of a brand or a product. And so the click-throughs just aren't as high. But we can measure the clicks. So if you get 100 clicks, there's 100 people that for sure went to your website. And then you can assume that there's others that also maybe Googled you later. And in fact, we track those through something called a view-through. And with a little piece of code on your website, even if a person doesn't click on your ad, if they were delivered your ad and then go to your website, we can report that as a view-through. The next thing is form completions. We are definitely fired up about getting people to complete forms on your website if you have one. There are some qualifications for that. You need to purchase enough impressions to make it a worthy goal for your campaign. And you need to have a form that has proven to work in the past with other tactics. So there's a couple of little caveats on that. The next one is geo-conversions. And this is where I'm definitely talking out the other side of my face, and it's definitely exciting because geo-conversions are maybe one of the coolest ways of measuring the impact of a campaign like this, as well as geo-conversion lift. Now I'm going to skip ahead and show you what those look like. Okay, here is another furniture store example. Forgive me for using squares. These would definitely be polygons in the shape of the building, but for the sake of simplicity, I use some squares here. So let's say that I own this store up here, Furniture Deals. That's my store, and I've drawn a geofence around it. Now I'm not targeting the people who come into that fence. I can, that's a different tactic. But instead, I'm going to use this to measure the impact of this campaign over here. So this is Maria. I'm calling her Maria. Maria is shopping at A&M Home Furnishings. Maybe she buys something, maybe she doesn't. But because she entered that geofence, I'm now going to show her ads for Furniture Deals. And when she sees those ads, she's going to be so excited, she's going to come to my store. Don't you love that high-tech animation there, right? So when we see that smartphone has been in the target fence, that's the purple one, and then it shows up at the conversion fence, that's the blue one, we now call that a conversion. And we can track that, and we can report back to the business owner how many people who were delivered an ad after going to one of their geofences actually showed up at their store. Now that's true of mobile ads. It's true of OTT, so over-the-top television. If we deliver them an ad in their home on their big screen, and then they walk into your store and they've got their smartphone with them, we can track that conversion as well. Yes, I actually stated the fact that we can track TV commercial people who were influenced by TV commercials. It's 2020, people. This is very exciting. Now, one little problem with this whole geo-conversion thing is that we can't prove that the ad itself is what motivated Maria to come to our store. She may have had that on her list of places to go anyway. So what we decided to do was measure something called geo-conversion lift. Instead of taking credit for every single conversion that comes to your store, what we do instead is we measure all of the devices that we see in the target zones and the conversion zones. That includes the devices to which we showed ads like Maria's, as well as the devices that we didn't show ads to. Now, I often get the question here, why wouldn't you show ads to everyone? And the answer is really simple. It's just a limited budget, right? There might have been 500,000 people in all your geofences and we only bought 100,000 ads. We're not going to reach everyone, right? So we have two different kind of converters. We have a campaign converter. That's someone like Maria, whose device was seen in the target zone. We delivered her an ad and then she went to the conversion zone. But we're also going to have a natural converter. That's someone who was at one of the target zones and then naturally showed up at the conversion zone without having been delivered an ad. And that will give us the ability to compare natural converters to campaign converters. Now, I know I'm getting a little bit in the weeds here, but ultimately what happens is it ends up with this metric called lift, which is the difference between the campaign conversion rate and the natural conversion rate. And what that does, let's say the lift is 200%, right? What that does is it allows us to say, people who were delivered your ad are 200% more likely to convert than people who were not delivered your ad. No, I can't prove that everyone who converted came in here because of the ad, but now I do have the ability to prove the influence of the ad as we compare it to people who did not see the ads. It's really exciting. And with that, I'm going to show you a couple of sample campaigns and then we're going to wrap things up. So the first one is this lovely, beautiful dentist. She ran a campaign that included site, search, keyword, and geofencing tactics. Like I said, we want to provide a blend of tactics, right? She did not want to target her competitors. She literally said they already have a dentist, and in fact, they have clean teeth because they are at the dentist right now. So I don't want to target competitors. Instead, I'd really like to target locations where I think moms are, because moms are the decision makers. So she targeted salons and gyms and boutiques and things like this. The campaign delivered 100,000 plus impressions or 100,000 ads, right? And she saw 42 conversions come into her office that month. And based on the investment, that was at a cost of less than $25 per visit. Now, I don't know if you spend more than $25 when you go see the dentist. I know I do, and I know that her average customer value is way greater than $25. In fact, it is $2,500. So the ROI on this campaign is absolutely outstanding. Here is a grocery store and what that looked like. We also ran a blend of tactics, including geofencing, where we targeted their competitors. We targeted Target. That's fun to say. Big Lots, Costco, Save Mart. We did 600,000 impressions for their 8 locations. And we saw 548 conversions into their 8 locations at a cost of less than $10 per visit. Again, I don't know if you go to the grocery store and spend less than $10. I think that would be like a fantasy world, but the ROI is definitely here for this advertiser as well. And then because we've been talking about furniture stores all day, I'm going to share this one with you, where a furniture store, this particular store sells mostly chairs, love seats, some outdoor furniture. So their average sale is around $2,000 to $5,000. They delivered 300,000 impressions and saw 40 conversions. And by the way, I mentioned a 200% lift a minute ago in my example. They saw a 197% lift. Or said another way, people to whom they delivered ads were 197% more likely to show up at their store than people who they did not deliver ads to. And that is a really cool metric that hopefully you as an advertiser would feel a lot of comfort in knowing that when compared to people who were not delivered ads, your ads drove 200% more traffic. So that's very exciting. And with that, I'm going to encourage you, if you have questions, please just reach out to the person who shared this webinar with you. And we will try to get as many of your questions answered as possible. We'd love to sit down with you, talk to you about which tactics make sense for your business, talk to you about how you can leverage these tactics, how many impressions you should use to reach your clients, how to track the ROI, the whole bit. We want to customize a campaign for you. And with that, I will say thank you for your time this afternoon or morning or whenever you're watching this webinar. Wish you the best of luck, and thanks for participating. Bye-bye.